Yeah. So if you want to become a web developer or any full stack developer or any developer, the front end course, mainly HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are very much important, and it's like a prerequisite for becoming a professional developer. So you should be very good in these concepts to become a full-fledged developer, whether you may be the JavaScript developer, Java developer, Python developer, or any other developer. So you should know the front-end courses like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and this is must, and you should not ignore these concepts. So this front-end course, mainly it will be like an interactive section, and I'll be live coding with you guys. So if you're stuck in any place, or if you're not understanding, then you can stop me and you can clarify your doubts. So let me share my screen, and this will be most of the things will be like a live coding section. So I'll be showing you practically everything in front of you. Yeah. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So I have created a folder called HTML, and in that I have placed a folder called images, and it contains like 4 dummy images. So I'll get started with HTML now. I'll do in this itself. I'll name this file as an index. You can name any of the name as per your convention. So the default extension for HTML will be like .html. So beginning to HTML, you all know like HTML is like a skeleton of your UI. So in UI, you will be having mainly this HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. The HTML would be like a skeleton of your application. So all the tags, all the structure, and the way you organize the code, and the application, the way you design the application, the architecture, the structure, everything in the UI would be from the HTML, and the CSS would be like coloring to your application, not only color, like design and styles of your application, and JavaScript would be like dynamic sections of your application. For an example, if you consider a human being with these 3, HTML would be like a skeleton and bones of your body, and CSS would be like a skin on the top of your body, skin on the dress that you wear, and JavaScript would be like the motion, like if you walk, you write, you eat, everything, the motion thing should be like a JavaScript. This is a simple example regarding these 3. So let's get started with HTML. Now currently we're using HTML5, and it is widely used nowadays. Before, it would be like HTML4 and other versions as well, but predominantly we are using HTML5. There would be a shortcut for HTML. If you click this exclamation, and if you press on the tab, you'll get a small template of the HTML file that you're going to design. So I'll just explain you all the types of this. So just come this. So for commenting any of the code in HTML, you will open your parentheses, like, and you put an exclamation, a hyphen, and close these things. So this is the generic form of commenting the code in HTML. So for beginning, if you write anything like hello, so this is also a general form of HTML, the content that you're going to write. And why you should not use this format, I'll let you know. So I'll go to this. So I have saved this file as index.html. So this is the extension would be HTML, and whatever the default browser that you will be providing. So in that way, it will be displayed. So if I click on this, it will directly open in my default browser, and you will get the data that you're written in that file, like hello Tetra team. Yeah. So you can write whatever the content that you write in this file. It will be displayed in the any of the browsers, but it is not suggestible because the browser uses a term called SEO. SEO is nothing but search engine optimization, and the amount of data that is being present in a file, it depends on the SEO and for rendering those. So whatever the UI or the application that you design, it will be deployed in any of the site, and in further in future, those applications will be consumed by the customers or consumers or any of the end user. So in order to load that page, the browser need to understand certain criteria, like what is this particular syntax or section is meant for. So if you directly write the code like in this way without any of the sections, then the browser don't understand what it is being meant for, and it will render. But for a single line, it doesn't make sense. But if you write thousands of lines, then the performance also may impact in this. So you should never write the content in this way. You should follow a structural way, like you should use the sections that I'll be discussing further. So beginning, you need to declare your type as doc type and HTML, and you need to close this. So this is meant for the browser need to understand that this particular file is HTML5 supported. The term doc type represents that this is HTML5, and it also helps the browser to render the data easily by using this type. So this is the first step that you need to declare in your HTML file. And after that, you need to open your file like this. So in HTML, there will be two tags. One is opening tag and the other is closing tag. So the opening tag and closing tag need to be used mostly because if in case if you miss the closing tag for some of the elements, then there will be the breakage of the UI, and there will be an issue. So the next after this doc type HTML is HTML tag. So for this HTML tag, there will be an attribute like lang. Lang is nothing but the language that you're going to use in this file. En represents that you're going to use English here. So this is the beginning of your HTML file, and in this you will be having head and body inside this HTML. So I'm using Visual Studio Code here. Visual Studio Code helped me to auto-complete my code, and if I type like some pose, if I take image, then if I enter, so it'll get me the tag and the attributes that are present in that. So I recommend you as a developer to use Visual Studio Code because it is like a user friendly, and it will help you in most of the cases if you get stuck. So the browser you can use many other browsers like Atom, Sublime, or anything else, but one of the most used is like Visual Studio Code. Yeah, this is the head. So head contains all the metadata that is related to your application. Metadata represents the if you want to include any of the CSS. While going through CSS, I will show you the CSS file as well, how to include those CSS file in this HTML and render the application. So the metadata represents the data that is being used across the file, like the predefined data, the cache data. So everything comes under this head. So here you can declare meta and char set equal to UTF 8 represents that you're going to use UTF universal code 8 for the entire application. So all your ASCII, everything else will be utilized by this application. So it is not meet, it is meta. Yeah. So there are some tags that don't require the closing. This meta is one among them. Like this meta doesn't require the closing, and I can just copy these two as well. So this line represents that this is compatible with all the browsers that were being used, and it is mainly designed for Internet Explorer Edge as well. So this metadata represents the data that is supported by this. And coming to these metadata, the viewport represents the compatibility of this page in all your browsers. Like if you're using mobile, if you're using tab, or if you're using any of the desktop, laptop. So for being able to compatible in all the stages of your device, this particular line is used. Your name is like viewport, and content is like width equal to device minus width. It declares mainly for mobile option. So initial scale 1 represents the as a developer, you should focus on this, and you should build an application mainly every time by thinking mobile as your main object. So you should design the UI mainly for the mobile, and then you should come to your tab, and then you should come to desktop. So mobile is like high priority, and you can use media queries or Bootstrap, Material UI. Those are all first compatible with mobile, and then as per your application, like the device size increases, it should be opted for any of the device. So you should be like using mobile first approach. And there are also other tags like title. So title represents I'll just save this, and I'll just show you. So I have saved this. So you can see here, once I load this page, so you can see here Tetra. This is the title of your application, and there are like many of the metadata and link related attributes and structure in head. So we can go through them as per our course. And the other important thing is the body. So whatever the content that we are going to display in the homepage, that need to be comes under this body tag. The content should be from this as well. You should not write your content in head, because head is mainly focused for having the metadata and the link related things. So and coming to just I'll show you one of the paragraph. P stands for paragraph, and it is widely used across the HTML file if you want to write any of the sentence. So once you save it, and if you refresh the page, you will see the P tag here. And there are so many header tags as well. H1 for heading 1 with the highest font size, and there is like H2 for that is smaller than H1. And in your application, the most suggestible approach is like you should have only one H1 tag, and as per your requirement, you need to go with H2, H3, and so on. So here is heading 3. You have this tag as well, like heading 4. You have up to H5, H6, sorry. I'll share these, and so H1, H2. So these would be the default size of all these headings: H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. So as per our requirement, we can go with the any of the heading tags. And we also have an important tag is called unordered list and ordered list for rendering list of items. So we have this UL as that. In that you have these LI items as item 1, I'll just copy these things. Save this. So you can see here like the list of items that are being rendered in this page. And with the UL itself, we also have another thing like this is for unordered list, like you will be getting like in the form of bulleted points. If you want to get in the form of elements like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can use OL, unordered list. And same thing you can use here inside that LI. So you'll be getting this 1, 2, 3, 4 in the form of these things. And so these are the mainly used elements in HTML. So I can remove this for, okay, I'll just close these things here. So I'll just take one P element. There is one shortcut called lorem. So if you type lorem and press this tab, then you'll get a very big paragraph for your demo for developing a dummy file. So this is one of the tip. So yeah, I got these things. So there are some other tags like for readability. I'll just send it to next line. Okay. So we have also the bold, italic related items. For such type of items, we will be using strong. So I'll place this item in between these. So you can see this particular item is being highlighted with bold. And you also have the item called EM for italicizing your element. So I'll just italicize this thing. So this particular thing is being italicized. And you can also use I for italic and B for bold, but in the back end, the particular elements would be converted to DOM. DOM is an important, DOM is also known as, it's like an object tree, which would be converted by your browser to render all your HTML elements. So while going through this entire course, you will be getting very much understanding on DOM as well. So DOM is nothing but if you click on F12 or if you right click this and click on this inspect, you will see these developer tools provided by the browser. If you can see this in any of the browser like Chrome, Edge, everything, and you can see the all these elements like HTML, head, body, paragraph, headings. So this is nothing but the DOM structure, document object model. So whatever the code that you write in HTML, it would be converted to a tree data structure by browser, and it will render in this page. So if you want to inspect any of the element, you can hover on this and you can work on these things. So for default, this would be the default styles of this, all of these elements. If you click on this H1, you'll get the default styles that is following by the HTML here. So these CSS we would be covering tomorrow, but today we'll be mainly focusing on the HTML things. So this is nothing but the DOM structure. And if you want to modify any of the things, you can directly do this in the developer tools and you can update your code. So we completed this EM as well. And so So if you want to break your line, like you need a line break in your application. Though I have provided here this amount of space, but the browser don't consider this empty space in your code as a space, and it will directly render bottom of this. You can see here, this is a paragraph that is being rendered without any gap here. So for this, if we provide the command as there are like some elements which are self-closing in a sense, like you don't require to give the closing tag for this. You just need you can write this as just likewise, or you can also add an slash here in the back of that. So this is the breaking element. So once you click on this, and if you save, you can see here the space is being applied. So this is the line break. And if you want any of the horizontal line for your application, that is also a self-closing tag, and it is nothing but HR. If you click on this, so you can see a line is being created by this, and you can see this line as well. So this is more about break and horizontal tag. These are like good amount of elements that you currently means you'll be more focusing and you'll be using mostly in your application. There are like some of the sections like div. Div is like a container, which is generally most of the developers use div for developing an application. So div is like a block element which is used for creating a like container structure. It's a block level element. I'll give an example of all these things. One second. There is also a span, and so you can see the P element here. P is a block level element. Block level element in a sense like it will take all the amount from total space in your browser. I'll just inspect and show you here. So P is a block level element. It is taking like 100% of your width. So there are some other elements like span, input, LI. So all these elements are like inline elements. Inline elements is they won't take 100% of your width. They will be like aligned to their children. You mean what I mean to say is like hello. So this is an block level element, and this is inline element. I'll just inspect and show you here. Save these. I'll run this. So I'll add another span as well for more understanding. So here you can see a block level element will take the 100% of your width. But if you consider the span element, these are inline. So you can see all the three elements in one line. They will be aligned. The first span element will be taking this much of space, and it will break there. And the next element can take from the right of it, and the next element can take right of it. So the inline elements won't take the 100% of it. So those will be aligned parallelly in the same line itself. So this is the main difference between block element and inline element. So you can convert the block to inline or inline to block, and anything you can do with the help of CSS. So in the CSS session, I'll show you how you can design all these elements accordingly. So I just formatted my code. So these are important tags that you will be using, and there are also other tags like input for taking input data. So the default thing will be like a type equal to text. It'll give a box for you so that you can start entering. These are also an inline element. So first it will take some amount of width that is acceptable by it, and after that the other elements will align parallelly. So there are so many commands in this input element. So if you give like type equal to file, it will give an option to choose a file from your desktop. So if I have given like type equal to file, so by using this you can make this option. And if you want type as date, so it will give a calendar for you. So you can, it will give a calendar for you. These are all the default structures of your HTML. And if you give like radio, you will get a radio button here. And if you want the checkbox, you'll get checkbox related things. And so there are so many types in input box. So you can explore them in the documentation. So I suggest you to follow these Mozilla docs. So these Mozilla MDN docs, otherwise called as MDN docs. So these contains all the original research code that is being present in this HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So this MDN is the organization that perform research on these concepts, and they have designed all these things like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is being designed by this MDN organization. So you can go through this documentation for better understanding, and you can also go through W3 schools. So these is also a pretty good website for learning HTML and CSS. So all the content that you want to design any of the application, like the UI, so you will get the very good amount of knowledge from this website, like W3 schools. So I'll just show you in the browser itself. MDN docs. So these MDN web docs. In this, you'll be having all the things like CSS, HTML, JavaScript, web APIs. So all these things will be in this. This is the parent of all these things like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I'll just type in the chart. You can access this. And we also have W3 schools. So in this, you will get all the basics and very good understanding of the elements that are present in this HTML. So I'll just paste you this thing as well. Oh yeah, and so we have learned like the main elements like paragraph, headings, ordered list, unordered, and span type, input type, and the next comes the next most used is like we'll be using buttons as well. Button. So all these designs I'll show in the CSS class so that you will have a good view of these things. So you can see here, button is also an inline. So input, button, span, and there are many other elements that are inline. So you can go through these W3 schools and get much more understanding regarding these things. So yeah, and I have covered all the important sections. So let me check. There are also some other sections that we'll be using for SEO point of view. So instead of using div always, we can also use header for heading of application. This is heading. So browser will understand, oh, this particular block is meant for heading, and it will render the application very quickly. And for footer, there is a command like footer. So this is footer, and in between, if you want to have sections, there is a tag like section as well. So you can have multiple sections. These are also nothing but it's like a div, the container. Section 1. So these are all the responsive tags that will be used for the application. So the other tags are all generally used in our application for in our HTML file, but this will be used for responsive thing. If you want to design a responsive page, and if you want the application to render your page effectively, and I will save this. And so if you see here, if you see here, you can see here, this is the heading, section 1, section 2, and footer. So all these things will be present here. So I have covered most of the tags in HTML. There would be like a few other tags as well. So for getting more understanding of that, you can go through this HTML documentation or his W3 schools, and you can get maximum of the things. And there is also another thing is like table. For table, the tag would be like table, and in this we'll be having header like there would be header table, header t head for having the title for the columns, and t body for the content of the body. I'll just show you these things as well. And in t head, you will be having again tr meant for row. In row, you will be having th column 1, to column 3, and in t body you also have this tr, and this will be having like td. You can have multiple rows as well. Once I see, so you can see here, this T head will be the title of your column, like column heading 2, column heading 3, and T body. In T body, you will be having the content of your table. Like these would be the row 1, and this would be the row 2, and this would be the row 3. Row 1, row 2, and row 3. So this is the basic template of table, and so the other important thing is like the links that that would be used for the particular page. So I will create 2 other dummy files here. Page 2.html and extra.html. So by using this exclamation and tab, you can generate the dummy file here. like page 2. So I will show you how to route from one page to other page. This is page 2. So I'll link these pages in. So we also have a tag called anchor tag that we can represent by using these. Yeah, it's nothing but anchor tag. So anchor tag is used for creating the hyperlinks or any of the navigation related sections. So you can use those things. And we also have image tag, img. It meant for image. So you will get the source and alt as well. Alt is for to have the other name for your image. So image 1. So if the image fails in any of the case, then the alt will represent or will show the UI that it is an image 1. I'll show you here. Second. So you can see here, this would be the reference for image 1. So if the image is not present, then we will get the UI in this format. So I'll include the image here, image 1. So for using the reference of any of the images or any of the files, if you are in the same folder, then you can directly type the name of that file. So I'm going to use this image1.jpg. So this is also acceptable, or you can also use this dot and slash for accessing the files in the same folder. If you want to access the files in different folder, then you can I'll just show you. I'll create a new folder. So if I want to access this dummy file under dummy folder, I can directly if you enter double dots, then you will have access to this particular layer, and you will go one level up. And if you click other, and you will go to the So in this, you will be having this dummy folder. In dummy folder, you'll be having this dummy file. So 2 dots represents you are going in the parent hierarchy. And if you want to go inside, you can go likewise, like slash images. And in that images, you have this dummy folder. And in that dummy folder, you have this dummy file. So this would be the hierarchy for accessing the files that are in other folders. So I'll just use this image 1. So you can see here, image 1 is being rendered here. And once the image is available, you don't see this halt. So this is the representation for image. And you can also use anchor tag. I have showed here, right? In anchor, you will be having href attribute, which is used for accessing the other files. And right here, extra file. Page 2. So if I save this and I go back to here, I can see these links. If I click on this link, any of the link, I'll redirect to that particular page. This is an extra page. And if I click on this page 2 option, I'll redirect to this page 2. So this is the way how you can navigate to multiple files in the same file. Like in this index.html file, you have these two options like anchor tag. In that you have an attribute called href. So there you can give the reference for the particular file that you're going to access. And this is the way you can I got a question. How do we use image if it is in the download folder or saved in some other location on our system? If the image is saved in some other folder, what you can do is like you need to navigate to that reference by clicking, like I'll show you here. So consider this dummy folder as the parent folder of this application. Then you need to parent folder. So this parent is the folder outside of this image. So if I want to access the items in these things, then I can do likewise. So from here, I need to go. If I press these two dots and slash, you will go to the top, the parent hierarchy. So you can go to this parent, and from parent you can access this dummy. So if you want to go in the above hierarchy, then you can do likewise. So if it is in the parent, then you need to go on clicking these things. You can see here, I'll just show you the hierarchy here. So my current code is in this HTML folder. So if I want to go above this, I have this Bharat and all these files. So if I want to go above that, so this would be the parent, these images and parent, and this would be all my files like Bharat, HTML, and all these things. If I want to go beyond that, so this would be the this is my drive, and these are all the topmost folders that I currently have. So this would be the maximum limit. You cannot access the files that are in other directories like maybe C drive or D drive. So, and it is not suggestible to have images or any of the files in other drives as well. You can have a copy, or you can have them in your folder itself, in the current folder that you're currently working. Then it would be easy for you to have the references of them, and you can easily access them as well. And once you deploy as well, these files will be bundled into a package, and it will be included in this particular application folder itself. But if you have the files are in a separate drive, then it would be difficult. But you can also access these things, like I'll just show you. So online URLs like image. So I have these things. So if I click on inspect, so this is the URL. Take it from this. This source. So if I place this URL, then the particular image will be rendered in my page. This image will be rendered here. You click on, so see, this image is being rendered in my current file. So this is how we can access the images that are already in the internet or already being deployed. And this is the files that you want to access in local. This is about relative paths and parent accessing as well. So yeah, By this, I have covered pretty much most amount of your HTML part. And anyone have any doubts in these things today? Like I have Gautam, Lakshmi, Prasanna, Pavani, Sahiti, Tulasi, and so I hope. So yeah, I hope everyone got a overview about these HTML file and the way that we are going to use and render the file in our browser or any other thing. So you can go through this tutorial like W3 schools for HTML, or you can also go through this HTML in MDN Web Talks. So this will give you a better understanding and in-depth concepts regarding this HTML. And yeah, so I'll just stop the recording.